All right, so Byron Blake just recently dropped a video that could be potentially exposing 1090 Jake as an actual rat. We're gonna get into that video today. Hey guys, before we do, check it out. I'm rocking the new BurbankClothing.com closed back trucker hat. You check these out, guys. This is the closed back, flex fit, fully embroidered on the front, you guys. Really comfortable hat. I like this hat. Actually, I should have did these before I did the snapbacks. We got two. We got the snapback. We got the closed back, you guys. BurbankClothing.com. Go ahead and go over there and check these out, or check them out down in the store section of YouTube here, you guys. All right, let's get into this content. Let's go.
Appalachia CI was the first and only adult prison that 1090 Jake was housed in. And though he bolsters his blood status in nearly every video, his stay at Appalachia even further confirms that Jake was not the factor in prison that he claims to be. To start, immediately after arriving at Appalachia, Jake was X'd out by the gang he claims.
Word got back to me that there was a green light on my head, meaning that the okay was given for any blood to hit me up.
If you familiar with prison politics, then you know that this only happens to snitches or guys who have not lived up to the code established by the gang. For those not familiar with prison politics, being X'd out is basically the gang saying you are not a member, you are of no value to them, and in some cases, it could mean death.
Right.
Now, according to Jake, he was marked to be cut, a clear sign that there was no respect for him amongst the gang. On June 15th at Appalachia CI, while still in segregation from his Lancaster incidents, Jake was assaulted again, this time by a cellmate. Of course, this attack made Jake realize that he was in the big leagues, and he played this situation completely different. This time he kept his mouth shut. No witness statements, no grievances, nothing.
Bro, can you imagine just getting attacked by your cellie, bro? Like, I've never been to prison. I've done time in county, not proudly, but can you imagine getting attacked by your cellie? You ain't even got nowhere to go, bro. You just gotta sit there and get beat up. That's it.
Eventually, Jake would be released from confinement and placed in R dorm, where he would remain until he was released. It was in R dorm where he became cellmates with Bimba and was basically a flunky for the Latin Kings. I mean, just listen to it. A blood who was marked out by his own gang and is now running with the Latin Kings. You basically not a blood anymore.
On top of that, a white dude running with the Latin Kings. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Latin Kings whatsoever. If that's common, I mean, don't that kind of defeat the purpose of the name? Somebody let me know. Somebody who's more versed on that subject, let me know. I know who the Latin Kings are. I've heard of them. But somebody down in the, let me know down in the comment section what the deal with that is. Is that like something that's that goes on a lot with the Latin Kings, or is that just something rare and maybe they just did it because they were locked up with him and he was cool for them?
Word got back to me that there was a green light on my head, meaning that the okay was given for any blood to hit me up. He introduces himself, his name's Bimba. Pretty much every day, we're vibing out, we're smoking. I'm starting to hang around the people that are in his organization a little bit more. Just because I was really beefing with the main one in mind.
Anyway, as Jake has said in his stories, being Bimba's cellmate came with some perks. He went from being an outcast to basically in the middle of the in crowd because of his cellmate. So Jake went from being broke and getting no money in to eating good commissary every day and smoking, etc. He always emphasizes how Bimba looked past race, which was a telling sign that being white had obviously caused problems for him. The staff at Appalachia seemed to have no problem with or out of Jake, as he was given the job of houseman 1 week after he was released from confinement. And he would hold that job and stay in the same cell for the entire time he was incarcerated at Appalachia.
Now, what is houseman? Somebody school me. Somebody let me know what houseman is.
With that said, Jake's bid seemed to be pretty smooth while at Appalachia, aside from the...
Is that like being a trustee, where you get to go out and like you work in the cafeteria and stuff like that? Is that what that is, or is that something totally different?
There's one particular incident. During Jake's introduction to YouTube, he spoke of an incident where he and Bimba had to go collect a debt. While the story varies depending on who's telling it, the truth or falsity of the story is not what caught my attention. While looking into the officers arrested as a result of Jake's tips, I ran across this story that sounded strangely familiar. It was pretty obvious from the moment Jake showed up on YouTube that he had an issue with the correctional officers. But what's even more obvious is that Jake has been in constant communication with the Florida Department of Corrections since he was released. I mean, he admitted it.
I hope someone sees this, man, and does some kind of shit.
A lot has happened. Mind you, when I got out, I called the chaplain at Lancaster. And I said, how can you claim to be a Christian and you know exactly what's going on at Lancaster? You know exactly what they do.
Taking this into consideration, it's safe to say that Jake was actively working with the department over the years to help get rid of the prison contraband issues. Let's focus on the story of Shaniqua Jackson, a female correctional officer who was working at Appalachia CI, the facility Jake paroled from. On or about August 1st, 2018.
See, why is this a common theme with a lot of these so-called paperwork party channel? Why is that? Why is that? Like, they're out here putting snitch jackets on people, but then you come to find out there's some rumors about them. There's some inklings and some paperwork on them, whether it be real paperwork that we can actually go and find online, or somebody pointing a finger at them for one thing or another. I mean, come on, Whack 100. He gets accused of being CS2 back. Even the people who were on the wiretap where it was redacted said it was Whack 100. You got who else? Eon Williams. Up for Debate TV is saying that he has paperwork on Eon Williams. I haven't been able to independently verify that, so I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's real. He showed some paperwork. I'm not saying anybody's lying or anything. I'm just saying I haven't independently verified it. So, and now we have 1090 Jake. They're saying that he's getting corrections officers busted, which in turn is getting inmates busted. I don't care about the corrections officer. I don't think anybody really cares about the corrections officer getting busted. I mean, hell, I don't even care about the inmate getting busted. Really, if you want me to be 100 with y'all, I don't care about anybody getting busted. But he's out here. He's actually not even a snitch. He's a rat at this point, because he was doing this stuff while he was locked up in prison, and then he gets out and tells. Because he's not in there no more. He's not dealing with the same people no more. So he gets out and tells on them. Right? I'm pretty sure that's where this is going.
Captain Durlis White, aka Captain White, received a telephone call from an anonymous caller indicating that Officer Jackson was introducing contraband, drugs, and cellular telephones via the Old Dorm Officer Station trash can. Once the contraband was placed in the trash can, it was retrieved and distributed by inmates. The caller advised Officer Jackson was receiving compensation via Western Union money transfers for her involvement in the introduction of contraband. Now, the reason why I believe that this is Jake, not just because he admitted that he was calling the prisons and stuff when he got out, but because he also admitted that people inside the prisons were giving him information so he could expose the information.
And I was trying to shed light on inmate deaths in the system and how many overdose deaths were being reported as natural or accidental. I was sent videos by current prisoners who couldn't get the message out, so I used my platform to be their voice.
So listen to how
my boy got a throat tattoo that say alive. He got that live throat. Wow, bro. Hey, somebody should have advised you against that throat tap, my guy.
How specific this phone call is with the officers. An anonymous caller calls in and tells you that the officer is bringing the drugs in, which officer is bringing them in, how she's getting them in, where she's putting them at when she brings them in. That was some inside information given to somebody on the outside. The same thing that Jake said was happening and he was doing. But let's keep going. Captain White reviewed the fixed wing video from the dormitory, noting inmate Roberts retrieved an object from the trash can, concealed it on his person, and returned to his assigned bunk. Captain White and Officer Cook searched inmate Roberts' assigned bunk, locating a brown paper bag containing suspected synthetic cannabinoid, suspected marijuana, suspected methamphetamine, and approximately 257 pills with marking consistent with Xanax. The inmate Roberts referred to is Charles Roberts, who was serving a 50-year sentence. And I remember Jake telling this story and he mentioned a big black guy, but he said, oh yeah, he went home. But I think that was just like to throw us off. You know, they gotta mix some lies in with the truth to deceive the audience. But at the same time, he had no problem telling this story because he knew that they had already been caught for this. He had already told on them about this. But yeah, this guy, Charles Roberts, he was serving a 50-year sentence. The intercepted package was allegedly intended for an inmate named Walter Holly. He was serving a 30-year sentence, and the officer, Shaniqua, was allegedly Holly's girlfriend. Another thing that stuck out to me is that both of these guys came from the Miami area, the same area as Bimba. It lined up exactly with the story that Bimba and Jake told. In the video posted to his YouTube...
They told on themselves. They told on themselves when, in case you, okay, let me give you guys a little context. This is actually like, I think so far, a 5-part series. This is part number 5, actually. This is Jake's old cellie, the one that was affiliated with the Latin King, allegedly affiliated with the Latin Kings, right? They allegedly did some things while they were locked up together.
Jake would introduce Bimba to his audience. He would identify Bimba as a member of an organization and discuss how self-sufficient and militant they were. Specifically, Jake would tell a story of how Bimba's organization was responsible for retrieving a debt owed to someone associated with them for prison contraband, and how they were preparing to use force to get it until the person paid.
There was an older Hispanic man on the compound who was getting dope in, not dope, but like K2. He was getting a lot of it in through visitation. Someone in another dorm owed him a lot of money. Now this old man, being that he was a Cuban, he affiliated with the Spanish, organization that Bimba was a part of. He wasn't under them, he wasn't paying for protection, it was more of a respect thing, and everybody benefited from the situation more or less. When word got to Bimba about it, Bimba came in the room and told me I gotta slide to the other dorm and handle some business, you know what I mean? And he basically told me someone owed money and he had to go over there and retrieve what that man owed. We did everything together. We were smoking together, hanging out together. We didn't have any knives on us. The only thing that we had was a razor and a box cutter. Pretty much exactly like this setup right here. I had that same box cutter setup, the same exact one, made it before we did this, and he had a razor. We were in our dorm on the complete other side of the compound. The guy who owed money was in O dorm.
Both Holly and Roberts had been housed at Appalachia CI for years. Specifically, they were both in Appalachia CI in O dorm during the time that Jake was incarcerated. And during that story, Bimba...
So in other words, one of these two ratted on them, on these other guys that was bringing in the stuff with the CO.
Mentioned like, man, those guys were over there for years in that same building, So that's another thing that stood out to me and made this seem like this was Jake. When I listen to Jake tell his story of going from R dorm to O dorm to collect the debt, it just sounds too logical to be coincidence. Now, originally, Jake claimed that it was the guys in O dorm who owed Bimba and those other guys money because they were the ones getting it in. But I think that was part of his rules to make people think he's not the person that's snitching. By pretending he don't know the real details, he also shift the blame onto Bimba, and Bimba come tell the real story, and now you the person that's responsible for putting Latin King business out. And you the person that's responsible for telling what happened, even though Jake already knew that they had been caught. He just didn't want to get his name associated with it at all, so he made it like somebody else was telling the story. Bimba comes in and tells the correct story, which incriminates these guys in getting drugs in and actually distributing the drugs on the compound. And this is all while these guys still have this case pending for what they just got caught for.
Yeah, so...
Oh, damn. So this video came out, they made this video while dudes was still going to court for the exact same charges that they're talking about in this video. So basically, they probably did use this video in court. At least they could have, anyways. They could have called in Jake to testify. They could have called in this dude to testify.
I end up...
I'm not saying either one of them did or didn't. I'm just saying they could have.
Going to transition, and I was talking to some Cuban poppy there. You know, the one that we went and sat down in his bunk. Remember? The one that when we really pulled up, we sat down on his bunk, and that's when you asked me, who's the nigga, and I pointed to it in the shower. So I ended up speaking to him while we was out there, and, you know, I told him, man, what's all of you? You ain't got no plug? Like, this is, you know, I'm looking for some shit, you know? He was like, oh, look, this is the man right here. And he points me to that big-ass black dude. You feel me? So I'm like, all right. So he goes and he introduces me to the man, and he's like, oh, look, buddy right here, bro. Good people. Like, you know, he got bread. Like, he want to do business. So he introduced me to him. We started speaking. We came up with a deal. You know, I pushed for it like this. He promised to give me 14 packs of cigarettes, regular packs. In the streets, what, $5-6? In prison, they go for $50 to $75. You feel me? So when you think about it, 14 of them for only $400, you're making one hell of a profit. And those are a pack. Like, if you sell the whole pack by itself, because if you actually break it down and sell it cigarettes at a time, there's 20 cigarettes in a box, $10 per cigarette. Do the math. You make killing if you break it down. You know what I'm saying? Cigarettes is gold in there. That's the best thing
a pack.
there is. So whatever, we ran down.
I know when I was in the Army and I got deployed to Iraq, my unit was already over there. I went there late, and I took about 2 cartons of cigarettes over there with me because I already knew it was harder for them to get American cigarettes over there. So you got people over there that want Newports, they want Marlboros. Actually, I think I took about 3 cartons over there with me. I sold them all. I sold them pack by pack, $15 a pack. This was in early 2000s. Cigarettes weren't that much. I think cigarettes were around like maybe like $5 a pack, maybe at the time. I'm selling them for 3 times as much. I made, and if you buy them by the carton, they were less than that. So I was making pretty good. I made a pretty good amount of money off those 3 cartons.
On that nigga there, because he ended up owing Poppy some bread or whatever. So, you know, at first I go and I give him the money, and he went, he checked it, he verified it was good. The very next day, he went, he gave me 3 packs of cigarettes. And I was like, okay, you know, he going through with his word. And he told me after that, he was gonna give me at least 1 pack of cigarettes per day. And 2 days passed by, he was like, look, you know, I just gave you 3 at one time. You feel me? Like, give me some time. Like, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. About a week passes, he goes and he gives me 2 more boxes. So at this point, I'm already kind of getting a little frustrated because, you know, he's not keeping his word. He said he gave me a pack a day, at least a pack a day minimum. So I start feeling like he's playing games.
Jake has been on a mission since his release to take down the prison drug trade.
Yeah, bro.
This specific set of guards did nothing to him, but he did have an incident with the inmates over the drug trade, which not only gave him insight into what was going on, but it also gave him a motive. Jake has spent the last few years admitting that he snitched and was actively snitching on crooked guards in Florida. Not just the third-party snitching he did on the news, but he has actively been calling prison officials and discussing what the inmates are doing, asking them how can they allow it and stuff like that. But at the same time, he has continued to deny that any officers were arrested as a result of his telling.
They would claim the officers must have...
so if he's trying to stop the drugs and stuff from coming in, somebody had to get in trouble, officers and inmates, right? Am I right?
Raided the prisons I was at, but I'd already been out of prison for 5 years. And what officers got arrested? See, the Florida Department of Corrections has a website newsroom that covers press releases, staff assaults, and officer-involved arrests. But not one article can be produced showing any officer was ever arrested.
When the truth is, both officers and inmates were charged. That's one of the biggest issues with Jake, is that he continues to, oh, no officers were arrested. If you are genuinely doing this because you want to help the inmates and you want to help clean up the system, why are you lying about officers getting charged? You would think that would be considered success. Like, yeah, I did this, 33 officers were charged. Instead, you lying and saying nobody was charged and this never happened and that never happened. I guess, you know, so
because of his internet fame, he can't afford to have anybody calling him a snitch now, because he's actually out here, you know, putting snitch jackets on other people. Some of these people may or may not be innocent of the snitching allegation, when in fact he himself is an actual rat.
So you can save face for the guys that you pretending to be a gang member in front of. Make sure y'all stay tuned, man. Double back. We breaking this Appalachia CI part down into 2 parts. I'm gonna tell y'all this part first about Jake snitching on the COs. In part 2, I'm gonna tell y'all the story of the real 1090 Jake, the inmate who 1090 Jake stole his whole image, how he acts, how he talks. His whole presentation was taken from this guy right here. Jake knows his story. He pretended not to know his story so that he could steal his story. And then he twisted his story in the end. When he finally did mention the kid, he twisted his story up just to take away from dude's legacy, so that y'all would think dude is not who he really is, and that way y'all wouldn't know 1090 Jake stole the story from him. It get deep, but you know I break it down, man. Y'all know I'm coming with receipts and everything, so stay tuned, man. It's your boy Byron Blake. I'm out.
All right, well, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but when you're learning like to do YouTube, or you're learning to be a creator or whatever, they tell you guys, if you're having a block, you can't really come up with the idea, it's okay to borrow from other creators. I guess 1090 Jake took that to heart, and he just borrowed a whole different persona. He ain't the first one to do it though. He definitely ain't gonna be the last one to do it. It's gonna be a lot of people on here coming on this YouTube, coming on the internet, TikTok, whatever, being disingenuous as to who they actually really are. I mean, it happened before. It's gonna keep happening. There's no way we're gonna be able to stop it. But if you guys like this story, we're gonna continue to follow this, because this next one that's coming out actually looks very interesting. I'm really interested to see who this other person is, and then try to compare him for myself to see if, okay, did he steal this other guy's whole persona, his whole personality, and pretend like this is him? You know what I'm saying? This is really interesting to me. So, guys, if you're new to the channel and you made it this far, I need you guys to go down and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell icon. That way YouTube notifies you every time I drop a new video. And guess what? When that video comes, or when that notification comes, you guys, I need you guys to watch the video. That helps the video get into the algorithm. You know what else you can do to help the video? You can hit that like button. You can also drop a quick comment. All these things are free for you guys to do, and it helps the video get into the YouTube algorithm, which helps it get more views, gets more eyes on it, which helps the channel. It brings in more revenue for the channel. It helps me buy stupid little stuff about like my belt back there, or bottles of Grey Goose, or 4K cameras, new key lights, a new microphone, whatever. You guys make sure you smash that like button, drop me a quick comment. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section, and let me know if you guys want to keep going down this rabbit hole. You want to keep going down the BMF rabbit hole. What y'all want to do? I'm here for all this shit. I'm here for the ride with y'all. Let's go. It's your boy King Charm. In case y'all couldn't tell, I've been drinking Hennessy since like the whole video. I'm about to go get some more. I'm out this bitch. Peace.